As we wake up, we go into the day, unaware of what is going to occur. A day comes, and the unexpected may happen. That is just what took place 50 years ago. It was January 22nd, 1959. 81 men woke up just like any other day. They ate their breakfast, kissed their wives, and headed off to work. Another day of work had begun at the Knox Coal Company in Port Griffith, Pennsylvania. At 11:40 a.m., without warning, the unexpected occurred. For of those 81 men that reported to work, 12 would never return. A group of 3 miners had been tunneling upwards under the rain-swollen Susquehanna River. They began to approach the riverbed when suddenly the river broke in, and in an instant, the mine was flooded by the rushing waters of the river. Tragically, 9 more died that day. Their bodies were never found.
I was on second shift, and I arrived there at 2 o'clock, completely unaware that anything had happened. And the second shift hoisting engineer was already on duty, and he said to me in a very understated way, he said, "Billy, we have trouble here." Well, that day I got only near the original foot, the 230-foot mark, and the water was violent. It was kind of scary, right?
There were many heroes that day, men whose names are remembered by a decreasing few. Those heroes being Mario Pancati, Myron Thomas, Jimmy Jamison. This is just the story of one of the brave individuals whose heroic action saved the lives of men who were trapped in the mines. Pacifico Joe Stella, an individual who became synonymous with the very sudden and tragic event otherwise known as the Knox Mine Disaster.
There's Joe Stella, who was the surveyor for the Pennsylvania Coal Company, who led the men to the Eagle Air shaft. He didn't come up with the men. Actually, he went back in a little bit to look for the other men for a while, the lost men, and risked his life with 2 men coming back, and they almost didn't make it. He was the symbol of this disaster, and in many ways, the human symbol of this disaster.
He was a surveyor for the company, and he took it upon himself to help save those that were still left in the mine.
We're at the Eagle Air shaft, which was the site of rescue of 33 of the Knox survivors. This site, over to my right now, you couldn't tell it's the site if this marker was not here, but this was the only available exit for these men who were trapped underground. 7 men came to this site, to this air shaft, from a substation area which was across the river on the other side. They wandered for 2 hours, but their leader, Joe Stella, had a mind map, so they came here pretty quickly, 2.5 hours.
When a motor runner came in and told myself and the assistant foreman in that section, which was Myron Thomas, that they've gotten a call from the outside for everybody to get out of the mines. If we had to get into that water, we would never stand a chance, but we stayed up in the higher elevations and crossed from one chamber to the other. And we just kept proceeding towards the river slope, and finally when the chambers leveled off and the water roofed, we figured, well then, we couldn't go any further, and we knew at that time that that's where the water was coming from, the river slope. So I talked with Myron Thomas, and I said, "Myron, the only chance we have is to hit for the old Eagle Air shaft." He says, "Yes, that's the only thing." I said, "Well, you take the lead and I'll stay on the back end, and we'll head for the shaft. That's the thing that's left, because that was up in a higher elevation." So finally, we made our way up to the old Eagle Air shaft, and when we got there, the other crew wasn't there. He says, "Well, I don't know what happened."
So if it wasn't for the Eagle Air shaft, the disaster at Knox would have had 12 plus 33. We'd have had 47 dead, which would have made it one of the larger mine disasters. As it was, 12 was too many, but at least this air shaft provided the escape hatch for these 33.
Joe Stella helped lead 6 older men safely out the abandoned Eagle Air Shaft, an exit in which he sought to be a way out. See, the Eagle Air Shaft was just an opening. It had never been an exit for the men to evacuate from. However, Joe recognized that that was the only way out.
True, I said, this is the shaft. I never knew that they filled it. But I said, we have to do something. We have to go and get some tools, and we have to dig this debris out of here. So I left. I think we were about 7 of us at the time, and the rest broke away from us. And the 4 men stayed there, and 3 of us went back looking for tools.
As I'm looking up, I could see what to me looked like a halo going right out. Started out real small, and I went out there, really expanded, and it got large as though I could see daylight. It gave me confidence because I felt as though, just don't give up. Keep going, because there's a way out. Joe Stella.
He claimed he saw a light in the distance, underground, and that he followed it at times. He may have been embarrassed to talk about this earlier on, but later on he mentioned it.
Work crews worked feverishly, day and night, for 3 days in an attempt to plug the whirlpool created when the bottom of the river caved in. Railroad tracks were cut and bent. 60 coal hopper cars, 50-ton behemoths were all thrown into the void. With cranes and large dump trucks, 400 one-ton coal cars were thrown in as well. Some 25,000 yards of dirt, rock, and boulders. Finally, because there was no more space to fill underground, the whirlpool had come to a halt. After the disaster, Pennsylvania's northeast anthracite industry took a major fall, and the industry came to an end. The disaster has remained in the hearts of many, for it speaks deeply to the held beliefs regarding personal identity and regional heritage, and so it remains too significant to forget. Many men took on heroic actions, but that of Pacifico, Joe Stella's, remains truly heroic, and that indeed, he, like many others, have put his life on the line for the safety of the men in the mine. His act of courage to never give up and to seek out the light distinguishes him as an honorable man who deserves to be recognized for the place he took as an individual in history.